What's going on, guys? Dan back here with the Regular Guy Garage. So we're gonna get the car loaded up on the trailer, head down to the underground garage where Josh is gonna let us put the car in the dyno. So I did make some changes before we bring the car down there. One thing I noticed was, so I got a fuel pressure sensor, a new one for the Holley system. And when I was reading the fuel pressure in the data log, the fuel pressure was spiking up really high to like 55 PSI. And I think that's, if you remember previously, I had a very rich condition, especially in the upper RPM. So I went through, lowered the fuel pressure by about 9 or 10 PSI. So now it's rated about 31 at idle. So then what I had to do was basically take my base fuel table and I threw about 8% in it down low, or basically for the rest of the table. This way to compensate for me reducing the fuel pressure, so it's going to have less fuel. We're going to check that, make sure. I'll probably have to still tweak that a little, but then what I want to do is actually set this boost controller to where right now if I turn it, I don't know where it's going to go. So what I want to do is basically turn it a couple times. 1, get some horsepower numbers. 2, set the fuel table right, but then 3, I can mark the boost controller, so then I know, okay, this is 7 pounds, this is 10 pounds, this is 12 pounds, so on and so forth. Additionally, I did change the spark plugs. When I pulled the 3922s out, they were showing very cold. The very top of the ground strap was burnt. So I put the 3923s in, and I guess we'll see how those go. Anyway, gonna get the car loaded up really quick, and we'll pick it back up from down over there. But yeah, I need to address that too, because C4 with the 410s and the turbo, it takes all the first gear just to build boost, and then after that it'll hold it. And then do I have to like do anything from in here or just drive it? Because what I'm gonna do in the first one, I'll get it up to 3rd gear, and then I'll probably go 35 to 5 grand, check the fuel table, and then from there we can do like that's perfect.
Because after that I'll go around and check the straps and everything, make sure we can scope something before we.
Yeah, so like I don't really, yeah, like numbers and stuff I'm not worried on the first one. I just want to make sure the fuel's good. Yeah. And yeah, we can.
I'll go ahead and I'm going to stop the dyno. And so you can just get off the gas and it'll come to a stop and then you just go to neutral. Okay.
Yeah, I noticed I downshifted last night.
Yeah. Which is fine. I mean, for me. Yeah. target is the same. It's supposed to target 11.5 all the way through. Then it's correcting as it's going up. It just starts
starts correcting because it starts to get super rich, and then it just continues to get rich. So it's like 10,
like outpacing the correction.
yeah. So basically, like on that one, the AFR on the log said 10.6, even though it pulled 14 out, it still said 10.6. So that's why. And it's weird because it's like it takes like 90% VE at 56, 57, and then it's like 80 something at 6,000. I don't understand it that well, but I know like at the track, if I make those corrections, it'll show on the next data log that it pulls less to maintain.
The lower timing, did the boost come out down lower?
I didn't look at the log yet. Let's see. I'm almost tempted just to pull the thing open and then see.
We can. I got my little.
Damn, that thing's the gadgets.
It's a Harbor Freight airbrush deal.
Yeah,
That's all it is.
Good.
So I cobbled all this together so I could see what the wastegate would open at boost wise before I like put it on the dyno and
Yeah.
blew it up. Then we'll put the boost gauge on the other side of it, and then we'll be able to twist the dial and see what's going on, if it's allowing more or less to go through there. And so as you loosen it, it should allow less air to go through, which should be more boost.
Yeah, exactly.
So
yeah, we turned it a whole bunch and it didn't
It
grow
really
up
didn't,
an
yeah.
ounce. I don't think even an extra 5 pounds would be too crazy taxing on it.
no.
Especially
Well, I'm at
school.
499.9, sir. That's it.
Right? That's what the internet says. Oh, I would assume just that right there, I could run it out with that same boost level, everything, and I would pick up time right there. I mean,
What is it? It's been what?
670s.
That's what I was gonna say. It's been about 670.
Yeah, 670s at 104. That was on 26-inch tires.
Have you tried 28s?
That's what these are. I went last weekend and I basically backed it up. I went 681 and that thing was skating all over the track. Because Red Springs was. The guy said it was really dusty. Plus, I think they got a no prep coming up this next weekend, so they weren't really.
Yeah. I think so too. It sounded like it went quicker. Wrapped out faster. Whoo! 22 horsepower past breaking the block.
522?
522.
Oh. That can't be right. Or maybe it is right. Maybe 20 pounds.
I was gonna say the dyno was showing 22, and so I'm like that. I was like, there's something maybe the sensor. I don't know. But if you're showing 20,
Yeah, I made 20.
is it what map sensor's in it?
The 3-bar.
Okay, so it'll read it like 28.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 238 kPa. That's almost maxing out the fuel tube.
That's on up there. So from 8 to 20 on 12 pounds of boost. You put up 60? 12 pounds of boost?
I don't know what the timing was up there. It's probably super low.
Oh yeah, it would have pulled another 12 degrees of timing out
Yeah,
of
let
it.
me see what the timing's at. Definitely not comfortable at 20, so I'm
Ooh.
gonna turn that knob a couple of times.
Yeah.
Yeah, 13 degrees of timing.
Yeah, it was at 14.7 pounds of boost at 1.006 seconds.
Yeah,
So it
shot up quick.
came on quick. Came on quick.
Yeah, I think if I had a lot more timing in it, I think it would have made way more. But
I'm with you.
that part of the table, I just put like a little, very low amount, and then just filled that column all the way up so it goes down pretty quick.
I would, I'm with you. I think maybe like 12 pounds of boost would be like,
Yeah.
the when we want to get saucy.
Yeah. All right, guys. So we are back from the underground garage, and the car did pretty good. I honestly thought it was going to make more horsepower than it did, and these are SAE corrected numbers. But what realistically, dyno numbers, they don't really matter, right? The time going down the track is what matters. Mainly, what I wanted to do was use the dyno to set the base table, which we got perfect now, and then try out some things to really get the car dialed in. And luckily, I'm very open that I don't know that much, and so luckily Josh over there was like, hey man, let's try and do this, that, and the other thing. And some things worked, other things didn't, but we know what works and we know what doesn't. And we've got the car, I'm really happy with where the car's at right now. So the first pull we did, I want to say it was like 447 horsepower. It made, I think, 7 or 8 pounds of boost. I had some fuel table corrections to make, so I made those corrections, and then so after making those corrections, we went ahead and I got it to where the air fuel was good throughout the whole length of the pull, and it wasn't really correcting as much or at all really. It was like 2 to 3% throughout the whole curve, so I was very happy with that. And then Josh was like, hey man, why don't you pull 2 degrees out of it, and then we'll basically go from there, because in theory you pull 2 out of it, it should lose timing or you lose horsepower, and then from there you can tweak it and whatever and see what works. So once we got the base table good, we were like, all right, let's go ahead and make another pull. So I pulled 2 degrees out of it, and we made that next pull. It was actually kind of funny because then Josh was like, hey man, I need you to come out here and look at this log. What I ended up doing was pulling 2 degrees out between, I think it was like 4,500 all the way up. I pulled 2 degrees out all the way pretty much throughout the whole curve except for down lower. And this was still on 8 pounds. And we picked up, I think I have a picture and I can throw it in here. We picked up like 20 horsepower, maybe even more, below peak horsepower, but throughout the curve picked up 20 horsepower just by taking 2 degrees of timing out. And then additionally up top, we made the same amount of horsepower. So it looked like one spot in the curve, it wanted a degree back. So I threw a degree back in it up top and made the same pull, and it backed up the numbers. I think it was making 460 at that point. Backed up the numbers completely, and the gain really wasn't that much up top that I took. I basically took that degree back out because I think it made a horsepower more, and it was like, if it's making that with 1 degree less, I'd rather run the less timing for 1 horsepower. 1 horsepower is gonna make 0 difference. All right, so then what we were doing, we were trying to get this boost controller situated.
And so this boost controller, this is just the one that comes with the On3 kit. And in the On3 kit, it says, or in the instructions, it says that it is very, very touchy, right? So basically, if you turn it the littlest bit, it's gonna, I think it recommends like to only turn it a tenth. So no matter how much we were turning this thing, it was not making any more boost. So Josh had this little contraption with air pump. We hooked it up, basically found out where the operating range was, and then we put it back on the car with it where we thought it would make 8 pounds, tried to do a backup pull. And it made about 20 pounds of pressure. So it made 20 pounds of boost. I think it was 19.9 I showed. His computer showed 22. I had the timing so conservative up there that, you know, one, we didn't hurt, well, not that we didn't hurt anything because we'll get to that in a minute. But, you know, everything stayed together. So that's really what matters. So after that, we basically put one full turn back in it, and then we got our little operating range. So now we have the boost controller set. So if you see this line here, it makes 9.8 or 9.6, I think it was. So 10 pounds right here, and then basically 12 is like, if I basically turn it, you don't have to turn it much from here. So 8 is like right here, 12 is like right here, 15 is down here. But I'm pretty much gonna live between here and here, right? 8 to 12 is really where I want to live. And I mean, in reality, I want to live at 30, but this engine won't hold that. But anyway, so went through, turned it up to 10, made another pull. And then I believe on that pull we made, it was like 480, I believe. I don't remember the torque numbers. So it made 480. Everything looked good. We tried to, I believe we tried to throw a degree in it. I mean, maybe we actually threw 2 degrees in it. And it picked up a couple horsepower. I want to say it was 5 horsepower. And I was like, 2 degrees of timing for 5 horse, you know, take it out. So I took the 2 degrees back out. I think it might have went from 483 or 480 to 483 or something like that. So I took those degrees back out, and I said, well, you know, I was already tinkering for a while. It was to the point where the only adjustments we were making was boost controller adjustments. The timing table looked solid. The fuel table looked solid. I mean, I'm sure it could be all cleaned up a little bit here and there, but it was solid to the point where, you know, we can clean it up little by little as we're doing races. After that 20 PSI pull, we would get some, basically after each pull, we would get a little bit of smoke coming out from, it looked like, it wasn't coming out of the breather, it would look like it was coming from underneath the header. So guys, I initially thought that this was a water leak from between the head and the block, but it turns out if you didn't notice, there is some oil coming out of the breather. And I know I've seen on, I think it was Neil Mustang's car, he has some rags wrapped around his breathers. So being that there's no baffle inside this valve cover, we're just spilling some oil outside of the breather. So not a huge deal. Dodged a bullet here. I'm going to get some rags, wrap them around this breather, and we'll be good to go. We don't have to pull the heads off this car. But anyway, so we made one more pull. I was like, hey, I want to do about 12 pounds. I think we saw 11.6 when I dialed it up. And on that pull, we made about, I think it was 489. Josh is going to email me the dyno sheets, you know, whenever he gets a chance. And what I'll do is I'll throw those on my Instagram. So if you want to see those. So Regular Guy Garage, if you want to see those, I'll throw them on my Instagram. But yeah, we were like 489, 490. I think it was 489.9 or something like that. So basically 490 at 12 pounds. Basically to the point where I'm going to say like where this car will actually run most of the time, between probably 11 and 13 PSI, might see 15. We're basically looking at a 500 horsepower car. But what I really love about it is, you know, we went 670s on, once I pulled off the trailer, we hooked it up, I checked, you know, stuff, and then made a rip, and it made basically 447. So we went 670s on 447 horsepower. Really from here, I mean, picking up 20 horsepower below the, you know, in the bottom of the curve, that is gonna, I think, really make our 60-foot time go down, you know, the best that we can. We're not on it, we don't have a trans brake, so, but I think we can go maybe consistent 150s, maybe even, you know, mid-lower 150, because 155 is our best 60-foot. You you know, if I had like C-clip eliminators and, you know, good axles in it, and a trans brake, I feel like we could go 130s in the 60 foot, but leaving on no boost, yeah, we're just not going to get there. But we should pick up, I'm confident that if I just made those tweaks, ran the car right off the trailer with that same 8 PSI, I'm confident we'd go a 669, because our best is 677. But picking up all that power down low, I'm 100% confident we would go 669 on 8 PSI, or was like 7.5. Huge shout out to Josh from the Underground Garage. You know, really solid, helping me out. One with the, you know, doing the dyno stuff, but then also two, sharing some knowledge. You know, greatly helped me out. I really feel like, you know, I feel like right there with all this stuff set, and now we know where the car's at. I feel like once we get the setup right, where we get a nice solid rear in it, I'll go to a taller gear in the back, and we'll get a trans brake. I was like iffy on is this car gonna get to 599? Now I really think we can get there. I think we can definitely go bottom sixes easily. But once we get the car set up, you know, it might be one of those where it's like, okay, turn it to 17 or 18, and then this is the, you know, the kill pass to get 599. But I'm confident we'll get there one day. Anyway, guys, that's gonna be it for this video. Thanks for watching. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. If you don't follow me on Instagram, @RegularGuyGarage. As always, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you on the next one.